Why, hello everybody, it's Joyce Elena, and I'm back here on the Just Vanilla server, and I've got a visitors around here somewhere. CTHD is visiting and taking a look at stuff. He's been on the server a couple of days, so I love having visitors come around, take a look, see what you can see, give me some feedback. I can always be better, so I love to hear other people's ideas. One of the things I want to work on today is some roadways. We talked about it earlier, some roadways right behind from the plaza to the blacksmith and the blacksmith shop, and then in between those two, and then I just need to do, again, I talked the last time about the exterior of the blacksmith shop. I was not happy how that was turning out, so I have that to do, plus some landscaping. Detail is what I am going to be working on today, so I will let you know when I get started and get my stuff ready, because right now I don't have, my inventory does not have the stuff I need to be able to do this, so I'm going to gather my stuff, gather my thoughts, and get started. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to consider was whether or not putting this these stairs underneath here, so there's spruce wood stairs right underneath, if that would help with some of the detail and some of the asymmetry that I was getting, because right here where it curves is where I was having the biggest challenge with framing it out with the logs. So now the logs are framing out that plus the balcony area here, and then for the rest of the build, it's just basically creating that barrier where the bone meal blocks are right on top of it. So I really actually like how that has panned out as well. What we started, I finished the other side on the back end here so that both sides are supported. I still haven't done their rooftop part yet, but it does give that support, and along with the lining back here, I think it looks exactly like I want it to look. I keep worrying that there's going to be a creeper sneaking up behind me. So I think that turned out really, really well. I do like how that turned out. One of the nice things about doing this is that it does solve one of the problems I have on the interior with the patio area. So if we go up here and dip back around here and go out, these now can come down because they're not going to be shown. So before there was, oh no, that's on the inside. Oh, well, stink. I was hoping that would solve my problem with them on the inside, but they're still visible. Well, I'll have to do something else. What a bummer. I thought, oh, problem solved, but that is not the case. That's still a problem. I was hoping that because we put the stairs up that it would cover these. I was thinking that you could see them from this side if that was wood. But no, what it is you can see it downstairs if it's wood. And right now, downstairs is completely stone. So that's this area right here you'd be able to see if we changed those out and made them wood. I would love it if you could stack slabs of different types. So if I could have a stone brick slab here and be able to stack a wood half slab on top of it, that would be my favorite. I would love that, because how many people do this? You want to be able to have a stair or a half block or something where you have that differentiation. So that would be my dream world. I would be able to have that. So that did not solve that problem. Oh well. So next up is some of the detail. I like what the fencing does around here. I might do that for all of it, as well as I need to make a ton more stairs to widen up my rooftops here, and then complete the one in the back that I didn't have the bottom rung, so it just stopped right at that line of the bone meal block instead of the hanging over piece. So I will get busy on that and come back to you in a bit. Okay, I feel like going ta-da! I finished the outside decorations, and I really like how most of it turned out. I had a little bit of working to do with this front piece. One of the changes I made, so I think when you last saw this, along every single edge, I had logs coming down, kind of making a support. And I decided to take that out. Specifically in this area, because it just felt like everything was out of balance. Now, as it is, this is a little bit off-centered because we've got this curve here. So the center line actually ends here, and then we have the curve. And so it kept highlighting that probably more than I wanted to. And it just didn't look the way I wanted to. And so as I was going through and trying to fill things in, I put in this this border underneath here, so the underneath stairs. And once I took out those support logs, I really liked the way that it turned out. And it feels like you've got just a really nice border to the support. So it feels much more substantial, as well as it provides interest, which I really, really like. Finished the deck area. So it has this double stair coming up to it, one from each way. I'm hoping to have a small path that comes around from the smelting area, that comes around and goes up here. This is probably something the blacksmith would use. It may have a little bit of stone and a little bit of just worn out ground. So it's just the dirt. So it's probably what it's going to look like. So what you'll see is a small path coming this way. And then when the larger path comes, it's going to come probably from this direction. It might join up and have something coming this direction, and then join up to go to this bigger stair. So we'll have a pathway this way and lead to this bigger stair. It'll almost form kind of a triangle or an area in between, and that will be landscaped. Some of the things that I did, and one of the things I wanted to bring you back before I started to doing the landscape, because it's kind of the order that you want to do things. The landscaping is the last piece that you'll want to do. So I'll even put in the roads before I begin to do all of the landscaping and decorations. So some of the other things I wanted to note. One, I will try to remember to put in the comment section or in the area down below where I found this great anvil look. So this is the blacksmith, so that is as close to a good anvil as I could get. This was my second choice. My first choice was one that utilized a creeper head in the banner. Hello, like I'm going to be able to have access to a creeper head. I don't have a creeper farm, and so there's no way for me to get one easily, and so I'm like, oh, forget it. I wanted to get this done and not worry about trying to find somebody who might be selling a creeper head. So this was a banner that I came up with. Well, actually, I didn't come up with it. Somebody else came up with it, but that I found, and I will put that link in the information section below. But yeah, I really liked how the deck came out, and it's just enough. Put a little bit. I put one more armor. Some unenchanted chainmail armor right there, a little flower area. I tried to put in seating, but because this is an even size, it was really hard to come up with something. So I think a really plain, simple step up will suffice. And underneath here, I needed to add some lighting. So some lighting here so we don't have the mobbies spawning, because they would have liked to have spawned right there. I have the torch here because I kind of like the look of having a torch coming up and on the side of the house or the side of the store. Some other things. I needed something different detail on this area. This will be an entrance. This hole will probably be a little bit larger getting down into the storage area. But so I just tried to use some of the cobblestone fencing and some half slabs there. Obviously, we do a little flower on the top. I tried to use mostly orange and red, although I think I have some purple up there, but kind of symbolizing the fire of the blacksmith. In this little box, I kind of liked how that turned out. I at first had it where it was just the trapdoors around, because that's pretty typical, and it just wasn't enough detail. It was too much in the trapdoor area. So by putting the fences, the upside down staircase on both sides and a wooden slab underneath, I think it gives it just the amount of detail and the size and the chunk that I needed, that I really like how that turned out. Also, I finished all the way around. I finished the roofs so that they are the nice thicker two staircase. So I've got the regular staircase and then the upside down staircase on the bottom to give it the size that it needs, that kind of the depth and thickness that makes it look like an actual support. Just a small window here. And I've been going round and round in my head on what to do because this is still a fair amount of blank space. I might come up with something, or it might just stay that way because sometimes you just have blank walls. These walls, though, on the side, and it was actually the case on all three sides of the house. So other than the front, there was no detail along here. In fact, there are no windows. If you look in the shop, there's actually no windows other than the ones in the front. And I needed to do something other than this just big flat wall of the stone brick. So we just went in and put in stone brick stairs upside down here and right side up down here. And it's just enough detail. So once the landscaping gets in, this will have as much detail as you really need along here. And one of the issue I had is I couldn't go, sometimes what you want to do is to create depth, you have your wall actually be 2 or 3 blocks deep. And I didn't want to cut into the area that we had already decorated. And I couldn't extend it by a block. Otherwise, the entire look of the house would be wrong. So just adding that adds a little bit of dimension. Did that to the back as well, although I haven't figured out what I'm going to do on these 2 corners. So this has a little jet out, and I don't know, right now they're just plain and simple the way they are. I might come through and do the same line with the stairs, or I might do something completely different. I was actually thinking maybe some variant of this could be put along the corner areas and maybe even more decorations. This is I think I showed you before, I just added the trapdoors. I did not add any plants underneath here because I thought I didn't want to repeat that too much, because if you have a theme and you repeat it too much, then it doesn't really have the impact that you want it to have in the areas where you want it to have it. So I just did the trapdoors along here. The one thing I like is with the bone meal has the grain, so you can see there's the way it's shaped. You can really define which way you want these stripes to go. And by wanting them horizontal, I ended up with the end pieces of the bone meal. And so I had to be very careful when placing these that I was able to be symmetrical with these end pieces of the bone meal showing up. I could go through, and I might still go through and put like wood buttons along here to kind of highlight that in some way. And now that I'm saying it, I might try that out because it might look pretty good, especially along here, to do some wood buttons along those the wood edge. What I've done in the front, the way we hit it initially, I thought I was going to do, I know what it was, over here, I thought, oh, I'll just hide it with fences. But I'm not sure I want to do fences along here, so we'll see. I might change that up, or I might leave it the way it is and just let it be the accent in and of itself. So it still creates dimension without actually poking out. So the wood buttons might take away from that look. And so finally, you'll see we did the stone wall here as well with the stairs the way we did. One of the things with this, I wanted to, there's a little space underneath here, and I'm not sure if I want to leave that, if I want to fill it in so you don't see it, if I want to fill it in with stone. But yeah, I at least use the stairways to hide and make it look like it's continuing to be supported, almost like how you would put lattice on the bottom part of a deck, if you've seen those, where you have a deck and then you have like lattice work before it touches the ground. So that is really the exterior decoration. And now as I was waiting for it to be daytime and not raining, because, you know, on the server, half the time when you're on, it's nighttime. And the other half of the time when it's daytime, it feels like half the time it's raining. I came down and I was going to smelt something, and I realized I had not decorated at all basically my stone area. This is where it's going to be where all my ores are waiting to be waiting to be taken to the smelter. And so I wanted to bring you in before I finished this up and show you what I did. So again, because I do things organically, a lot of it is just block placement. And so I know that a lot of times people will do that if you have stacks of an ore, that you'll just go along and you'll just start placing them. But what can happen, and for me especially, is that you end up placing ores and then they get covered up. And you're like, well, why am I wasting perfectly good ore by covering it up? So what I did, and then you're doing your placement, and then you say, oh, I don't like how that looks, and then you have to tear it all down again and remine everything. So one of the things I did is I came in and I used netherrack to really define what areas am I going to place my ore. How do I want it to look so it feels like it's organic stacks of ore. So I've done that, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm covering all of the netherrack. And what this does is it's given me the ability to kind of shape how I want things to look, and I'm not wasting perfectly good ore that's going to be covered up and no one's going to see it. Especially for me. I mean, I don't have an iron farm. I don't have a lot of things that I know other players do because I don't play as often. And I like building rather than all of the other stuff. So this is giving me that ability to utilize the iron ore and the coal ore without feeling like I'm wasting a precious resource. And so I'm going to go ahead and finish this all up. In fact, we're almost done here. And then this area will be done as well. And I can feel like I'm getting really close to this. Oh, I'm out. I'm out. Give me that. We will improvise. Coal there. Iron, 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 iron. There. Now, how does that look? One of the things I wish I could cover these up. I guess I could put trapdoors over the lighting. This is the lighting that's above. I wonder if it's enough that I don't need these. Probably not. I bet you this is going to spawn a bunch of mobbies. But, oh well, if it does, that'll create some interest, some intrigue. We'll add something there. I think that should be fine, though. I think there should be plenty of lighting. And maybe back here. I'll put one there. And maybe back here. This is looking a little dark. There. So it looks very sporadic, which is how I wanted it to look. I might try to make one of my little, what are those things called? The little wheelbarrow? Did I make one over here? No, I haven't made any type of wheelbarrow. I might try to do that. Make something, I guess. What do I use? A cauldron and some signs? A cauldron and a fence. That's what it is. Cauldron and a fence. Do I have those already? Here, I have my stash of stuff here. Oh, that's all stone. It would be here. I thought I made a gate. It's not a fence, it's a gate. I thought I made a gate and then I didn't use it. Anyway, I will make that, and then I'm going to start working on my roadways, and I will bring you back if and when that stuff is either better planned out or all complete. Okay, so I have extended my roadways out. I did the center one here. Now this is a little different than on the opposite side, and let me see if I can scooch over. One of the things I did on the opposite side is the center block is in fact the stone brick, and then the stairs, the cobblestone stairs on the side, but then it goes into basically stone slabs along here, and so it makes it five blocks wide, and it just was too big for this area, right? This is our more modest buildings, our modest fishing house, and then the farmer, the free range chickens' farm in the back there. So it just didn't make sense to have this more elaborate 5-block wide road going down here. Now, you know, depending on what structures end up coming up over here, that wider road is going to be more appropriate. There'll be bigger buildings here. I can't remember where the town hall is going to be, but that might be something that's in this area, so that it makes more sense for it to have a wider road. So I extended, this one is the more structured road, and it leads off into the gate, which then goes into this small lake. And then I did pathways. This was a narrower pathway leading into the smelting area of the blacksmith, and along with this one. So what I did, this one is a little bit wider. It is 3 blocks. So it starts at 2 and it widens up to a 3-block wide and meandering. So one of the important things is, you see my roads are straight, but these are the 4 main roads, right? North, south, east, west. And I think that way is north. And that matters. I don't know why that matters. But anyway, so these are the main roads, which is why they're straight. And this road coming back will lead straight in that direction. But all my other roads, I want them to have some movement. And we haven't put the lighting up because that's more of the landscape. But once I get the lighting up here, and then it leaves us room to be able to do smaller things throughout here and along this area. Maybe we can even extend this lake, which now that I'm saying it, probably is something I want to do, is extend it through here. And just what we're doing here, I haven't made the pathways back to my main road, and I need to do some terraforming to do that. So yeah, cobblestone, what is this, gravel and stone brick is mainly what these roads. I was going to do andesite as well, but sometimes 4 different textures can then lead your eye. It can be too busy. So I went with just 3 different of the texture packs, or not texture packs, but different of the block textures because I didn't want it to be too much. Intermittent is again the carpet to hide that we have some glowstone underneath to do some lighting of the road. And that should be helpful to alleviate some of the spawning. Eventually, all of these torches need to go away, and that is a goal. But it's not a goal for this episode. Let me tell you. Even in this area, I don't know what we're going to do through here. In fact, any ideas that you have that might be something we want to have leading into the blacksmith area, let me know. Should I do a few stalls of something? Should I do another small, maybe 1-story building through here? Let me know your thoughts. And I have to tell you, I am learning a lot as I'm doing this building, and I'm learning a lot about scale. So we built this first, right? We built the greenhouse, and then we built the statue, and then we built our blacksmith house. And I gotta tell you that my take on this, I'm certainly not going to go through and tear everything down, but if I were to do it over again, seeing the scale of the smith house is very, very important. That's really the crux, and that's the base size within the city. Given that, I really do feel this is way too small. It should be towering high above the blacksmith. As well, our conservatory, that would be the word. It's more than a greenhouse, it's a conservatory. This size, it's just a greenhouse. For it to be a conservatory, it needs to be much, much larger. So it's something, as far as my personal growth as a builder, is that I have been doing small scale for too much of the build. So too much of what I'm doing is a smaller scale. I like the small scale stuff, and I like that as a player when I come into something, it feels like it's the right size. But I gotta tell you, with an overall look, building a city, I've never built a city before. Like when I come here, when I'm standing here as a player, this is a gigantic statue. This is really from my size. Let me see if I can do this. Right? It's substantial. And that's kind of what you would expect, is a substantial feel. And when you come inside, it's got a nice high roof for a single-story building, and it feels big inside here. But when I compare it to this house, it doesn't feel as big and as majestic as I want it to have felt. So that's something I'm going to have to work on, because when we come in here, this still feels like the appropriate size building for a player to come in. It's not majestic. It's a normal size. When I come upstairs, things are tight, right? Things are close together. So it's really not a gigantic build. But in comparison, it makes my supposed gigantic build, oops, I must have run out of glass. Oops, I'll have to fix that. Anyway, it makes my gigantic build not seem so big anymore. So, boy, that is lessons learned. I still like the builds individually. I think they look great. But now I'm wondering, as the collective whole, what I can do to maybe help the scale seem more appropriate. And I think part of what that will be is to put something of a smaller size through here. And it may just be a park of some type. I don't know. Or, I don't know. I'm really trying to think. I do not want to redo this. That took me forever. So I will say, I will not redo this, but it just doesn't seem as big and majestic as I had hoped it would when I initially built it. So, boy, that's a Debbie Downer to leave things on, right? Because I don't have time in this episode to finish my landscaping, and really I want to think through some of the other things that are going to go in here before I start landscaping everything. So with that, I think I'm about had it. So I'm going to take off, and I will see you next time.